What is up, guys, and welcome back to the channel. So today we're going to be reviewing and breaking down The Flash Season 9, Episode 11. So guys, the episode starts with a look to 2049 at Malcolm Gilmore, who walks into CCPD with the file of Eddie Thawne that he got in last episode after he was struck by what appeared to be the negative speed force. And obviously here he's trying to figure out, why there's someone who looks like him just with a different name. Now, the thing here is that everyone at CCPD looks at him, like they've seen a ghost, right? So they probably think that he is Eddie Thawne, because obviously he does look just like him. So I thought that was really interesting right there. But meanwhile, in the present, Chester says that during Barry's disappearance, there was COBALT residue, and that led to them assuming that Barry had been taken and him vanishing was not an accident. Which, that's obviously a reference to Cobalt Blue. Now, Mark returns in this episode as well, and the scene made it seem like he's this fan favorite character, and obviously he's not, so it was really just cringe in his scene where he returns. Now, we also see Iris looking at the Flash Missing, Vanishes, and Crisis article, and this is not her writing a new version of that article. It's just that she quote-unquote came across the article. So I mean, I guess it was cool to hear about it again, but still it's kind of a little bit of a letdown that they didn't actually go through with her writing another version of that article. Now at CCC Media, there's a gas leak after Allegra is hit with what looked to be like some sort of blue blast. But anyways, a couple of people faint because of this gas leak, and Keone makes them wake up by inserting plant cells into their body. What? Keone is such a stupid character. I don't understand her being on the show. It literally should have just been Caitlin. This is ridiculous. But then anyways, going back to 2049, Malcolm is asked for ID at CCPD as they point out that he looks just like Eddie Thawne, but when he pulls out his ID, initially there's just like nothing on the card at all. There's nothing on his license. But then all of his information just like magically appears on there as if he's like hallucinating or something. But then when Malcolm is, learning more about Eddie Thawne, he hears the blue crystal calling to him. So that was pretty cool to see right there. But then back in the present, we find out that Mark was actually the one who knocked out Allegra, which explains why she recognized him in that scene, as we see Mark's eyes turn blue like he's being controlled by the blue crystal. So Cobalt controlled Mark continues to manipulate Team Flash by turning off their Cobalt scanners, so if Cobalt Blue does show up, or if Cobalt controlled Mark does something, they won't be able to sense it. So next we see Malcolm Gilmore back in the future, 2049, getting memory flashbacks of Eddie, and then realizing Iris might be the key to figuring out what's going on, because in his flashbacks he does see that Eddie was in love with Iris. And then going back to the present, Iris is almost killed by Mark, who's obviously still controlled by the blue crystal, but then Speed Force Nora comes in to save the day, and Mark disappears just like Barry did in last episode. We also find out that Barry's connection to the Speed Force has been disrupted, and Speed Force Nora can't find him because of the negative Speed Force attack and the positive Speed Force, all the stuff to do with Mark. So Malcolm goes to Iris's office at CCC Media back in 2049 to try and find her, but she isn't there. And while he's there, he gets more flashbacks of Eddie Thawne and is only now more determined to find out how Eddie died, which for some reason he thinks is the main thing he needs to learn from all of this. Now, I thought that scene that we saw in the trailer of Iris in the time vault talking to Gideon, I thought that might be that might have been her making the new article of the Flash Missing, Vanishes, and Crisis, but it was just her talking to Barry, who obviously is still missing. So she's just like, oh Barry, if you're out there, I hope you can hear me, or something along those lines. So that was a little bit disappointing right there. But then we see Mark, who's still taken over by Cobalt Blue, have a big standoff with Keone. Whoopee, what a great fight. But we still do see Keone magically take the blue crystal away from Mark in another extremely cringe scene. But then right as Keone is about to pick up the blue crystal, it disappears again, just like after Barry fought Joe in last episode. Now, we also see Iris in labor, and right as we find that out, Barry does appear in Star Labs, which must have happened because of the blue crystal disappearing again. So yeah, Iris is about to give birth to Nora. So yeah, then at the hospital, Barry talks to Iris about him going back to that night from last episode and how he knew it would happen one day and how he thought he would, be scared when the time came. But in reality, he felt like a sense of peace seeing his parents again. And I have to say, the show is a million times better when Barry is, actually on it. Because that scene, it was a big refresher. It just reminded me how good last episode was. But then Barry says that the blue crystal is time traveling to try and use Team Flash's friends as victims to fight them. which does make sense if you really connect the 2 episodes that it's happened. Then Keone says she's a quote-unquote goddess, which literally made me cringe so much. She's really an awful character. Well, she's really become an awful character, and she should not have had a big storyline in this episode or in the season. It really should have just been Caitlyn. I know I've said that already. But then unexpectedly, Barry disappears again, just like he did in the last episode, and we have no idea where he is or, when he could be. But then at the end, we see Malcolm digging up Eddie's grave, and just like I thought, there was no body in there, which means this is Eddie Thawne. This is not a descendant of Eddie. This is him, revived, which is a huge twist that I did not expect. And this is where Eddie gets all of his memories back. Like, he remembers everything that happened. This is the Eddie that sacrificed himself. And obviously the Blue Crystal wanted this to happen. The Blue Crystal wanted Eddie to remember who he is, because it's eventually going to lead to him becoming a villain. His memories are going to lead to him becoming Cobalt Blue. But anyways, he somehow still has like the bullet he shot himself with in his chest, which must mean that, this was the exact moment that he was officially revived, most likely because of the Blue Crystal. So yeah, guys, this episode right here, a very, very mid episode. I mean, you had the Eddie Thawne, Malcolm Gilmore, Cobalt Blue storyline, I thought was very, very good. I really enjoyed that part, but everything else that happened in 2023, it kind of sucked. I'm not going to lie. Like, we had the big Keone storyline. Oh, we got 3 episodes of the Flash left. Let's make the episode focus on Keone. That's a great idea. And also have Barry not in the episode. So yeah, I'd give this episode like a 6 out of 10, maybe 5 out of 10, something like that. It just really makes me mad that Barry was barely in the episode, and that we're focusing on side characters when there are 3 episodes of the show left. But nonetheless, the Cobalt Blue stuff, like I said, was still pretty good. Yeah, guys, I'm not going to lose hope for the last 2 episodes. I'm really excited to see what they've got for us. And by the trailer for episode 12, it does look pretty good, so hopefully it actually ends up being pretty good. But yeah, anyways, I'd say that's about it, guys. Thanks for watching. Make sure to comment your thoughts on this video down below, as well as your thoughts on the episode. What did you guys think of it? And yeah, I'll see you guys in the next video.